I want to welcome you all to the NEMSIS V3 implementation call. Today is July 10th, 2019. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to have this conversation with us. We're going to go ahead and start with Bridget. She's going to talk to us a little bit about the annual meeting coming up.
Hey, you guys. Just a quick reminder about our meeting. We're about a month out. Make sure that you're getting your registrations in. I wanted to say thank you so much to everyone that has already done that. We have, our vendors that are coming in, Stryker, AMR, Emergency Reporting, and Zoll. Thanks you guys so much for getting that done. All of our state people, you guys are amazing. Let's get everything done and get everybody here because it's going to be a fantastic meeting and so much for everybody. Don't forget, we do have the boot camp that day before. So on the 11th, on that Sunday, if you guys are able to take it for our state EMS people only, but please come if you can. It's going to be great information for everybody. Remember that if you have any special requests, let me know, let the hotel know, and then we'll make sure everything that we can possibly do for you guys is done and taken care of. We have just a few more rooms left in the block. So let's make sure that if you still need to get registered, let's get you guys registered. Reach out to me, my email, I'll send that out to everybody also. But let me know if there's anything else I can help you guys with to make sure that you guys get here. I'm done, Julianne.
Thank you, Bridget. I'm going to turn the screen over to Clay.
Great, thank you. Thank you. My item is to cover where we are with the agenda for the V3 implementation meeting. And that is coming together very well. Wanted to spend a little bit of time with that agenda. As folks know, we spend a lot of time at this meeting discussing important issues that are associated with moving forward with the standards. So let's spend some time on this. So if you haven't taken a look at the agenda, please do it. It's still a little bit in flux, even though we're a month out. We're working really, really hard to get the Innovation Center from CMS out there to discuss ET3 with us. They're very interested in meeting with the vendors and the data managers in an effort to further describe how we'll collect data during the ET3 project. They've just received federal approval to set up an API to receive data into CMS. And so it will be important for them to discuss with us how that will work. So you'll notice on day one here of the agenda, we do have a space saved here for the ET3 folks for CMMI to come out and speak to us. They're not sure whether they want to do a formal presentation or whether they'd like to do a breakout and really kind of dig into the weeds in regards to how data might flow. So the agenda, again, may change a little bit. There may be 3 breakout sessions instead of 2 breakout sessions, but we'll keep this up to date as we move forward. What I did want to point out, the new kind of additions to the agenda is there is 2 breakout sessions, one on day 1 and then one on day 2, and the groups are being broken into a software vendor session as well as an EMS, state EMS official session. So we'll be breaking in those 2 groups and on each of the days, and we'll be discussing similar topics. So you'll notice here there are agendas for the breakout sessions. Both groups will be talking about the same topics, but from the vendor point of view and from the state point of view, as we try to just facilitate some additional work on these attributes of the NEMSIS system that still need a little bit of work. So you can see the items that are covered in 45-minute blocks for each of the 2 days. I just want to run through these real quickly, and I'll mention that we'll be sending out some ancillary material probably in a week or so related to these topics, so that when you come, or if you can't make it and you want to submit some comments to the NEMSIS TAC, you'll be able to do that to ensure your voice is heard related to these issues. We just cover them real quickly here. So we want to spend some time on the national schematron file and the state schematron system. It's working well. It's not yet as dynamic and fluid as we'd hoped. We'd love to have a process whereby we're tightening rules or relaxing rules or correcting rules more on the fly than we are now. So we have some issues to discuss. How can we tighten this up? How can we avoid, there are some state and national logic collisions that are happening. How can we avoid those? How can we more carefully track which software is using which version of the state and national schematron files? Those will be important questions to address. Next topic that's important, we're still having, at least at the national level, some problems with the DEM files. We're probably not receiving about 40% of records because we don't have a DEM file for our agencies. A number of reasons for why that's happening, both at the state level and at the vendor level, hence a topic for both groups with different questions to solve, but we would love to resolve this. The research data that comes out of the national data set is so incredibly important, and we're really actually behind in 2019 getting our data submitted to the National Registry. So let's see if we can come up with a process whereby we can finally address that DEM file issue and see if we can get that resolved. The Office of EMS wants to speak with both groups for 30 minutes, and so that's in the schedule. The state data managers have been working incredibly hard on the state data sets, and this is now a really treasure trove of information nationally. You can now go to Tableau dashboards that indicate exactly which states are collecting which NEMSIS elements. The age-old question of how many EMS agencies do we have in this country? Well, you can now go into each state and actually look at the count. It's really been incredibly valuable. Lots of research requests or just data requests that come into us, we're able to take them to the state data set Tableau reports, and it's just been incredibly valuable. But I don't think all software is using the state data set to its fullest capacity. So again, we have some issues to discuss there. Next one is an incredibly important one for vendors and for states. We've got to come up with some processes that help grease the ability or facilitate the ability of NEMSIS data to flow into HIEs. And particularly, we've got to solve this e-outcome section where we're getting patient outcomes back to our providers. With 3.5, do we again go down the HL7 route and develop a CDA and some templates for pulling information off of CCDs and CCDAs that are present in hospitals? Or is there another approach we want to take? Do we want to take a kind of internal approach? We had an e-outcomes work group who worked a little bit on this. We've had some redirection from NHTSA in regards to this topic. So again, we really want to come up with a process for us moving forward to make sure that we're able to integrate well. And then finally, we're adding the unique, the universal unique identifier to 335. We just want to make sure that both the vendors and the states know how we'll be able to use that. One of the real issues we're facing, NEMSIS really kind of requires that every agency have an ID and that ID never changes through time. We have lots of system attributes that are associated with linking data together based on that number. Well, several states, even some on the call here, recognize that those numbers do change, and several states are experiencing changes. So their data sets are they now have records for the same agency under two ID numbers. So can the UUID take this place, and so the agency IDs are free to change without kind of disruption to the NEMSIS system? So lots of really good questions that we're going to need to cover. Those are the topics. If you go down to the agenda for the breakout sessions for state officials, it's the same topics, just different questions related to the same topic, so that we can have good understanding of how we can address this and what's expected from what our states expect to see in regards to the NEMSIS standard. So that's kind of how it's broken out. It will be incredibly valuable to have you there. Lots of great discussions. We always make great movement in regards to the standard at this meeting. So looking forward to you being there. Any questions about the agenda? All right, all right. As Bridget mentioned, we're listing all the software vendors that are registered for the meeting. We know that there's at least double this number that are kind of waiting to register. We'd admonish you to kind of get those registrations done so we can list you here so folks will know who will be at the meeting. Lastly, I'll just mention, I don't know if folks have looked at this link here, but there's lots of local events that are going on at the same time of the meeting. And you may want to look at this if you wanted to grab tickets to some of these other kind of venues while you're there. You may want to try to get that done within the next couple of weeks because these symphonies and concerts and shows, they fill up quickly up in Park City. So would love to have you come and attend. And I will turn it back over to you, Julianne. Any other questions related to the agenda or related to the meeting?
All right, thank you, Clay. Appreciate that. Laurel is up next with IT systems maintenance.
Hi, everyone. There it is, share. Let's see. So yesterday and today are the IT maintenance windows for the month of July. You should now see the schedule on your screen. So we're just wrapping things up today. There wasn't a lot going on, just some updates on the website. There will be some more changes next month. Those days are August 13th and 14th, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then you can always find the schedule on the website. It's on the FAQs page, which is linked in the footer. So we're looking at the schedule right now on that page. But if you want to find it anywhere on our website, you can scroll down to the bottom and click NEMSIS FAQs, and that'll take you right here where you can see the schedule. But generally, it's I think second Tuesday and Wednesday of each month. Does anyone have any questions? No? All right, I'll give it back to you, Julianne.
Thank you. We're going to talk just for a minute about the revised suggested lists. I'm going to show you how to find those just directly from the NEMSIS homepage. If you click on the candidate release and then candidate release here, scroll down, and you can see right here, revised suggested lists for review. We've updated several of the suggested lists and would love to have your review and feedback on these. Let's pull one up to show you. I'm going to pull up e-procedures. It's going to download it as an Excel spreadsheet. Let's make sure it's showing you my Excel spreadsheet. All right, hopefully you can see that. So this is the revised draft suggested list for e-procedures 03. These suggested lists are based on 37 million EMS events, and our goal with these was to capture at least 90% of the occurrences. So we found what was being used most frequently, and we tried to reduce the redundancy in having multiple ICD-10s represented with just very small variations. So you can see the parent code, the EMS description, SNOMED for this one instead of ICD-10, a description, the actual physical count, frequency, and then over here on the notes, you may see something that's been rolled up into that code. We would love to have you guys check these out, give us your feedback. If there's something missing or a description that needs to be tweaked, we are very much open to your suggestions there. We recognize that there will be some local relabeling, whether it's local or vendor for the terminology, but we encourage using the suggested lists and the correct mapping so that we're not represent, or we're not representing different codes for the same thing, and it will help with the quality of our data that we're able to provide back to you and provide to the public. Let's go back to, all right, so hopefully now you can see where that's located. The revised suggested list, we've got cause of injury, procedure, location, symptoms and impressions. I'm working on medications that will be added up soon. So if you're able to go in and check any of those out, any of your comments, you can go directly to the comment form down here, click on that, and give us your feedback. You're also welcome to give us a call or an email, and we'd appreciate your suggestions and comments so that we can make these suggested lists apply across the nation. We had a question on our last call on whether or not 90% goal applied to state level as well. And with the process that we've set up for being able to establish these, we can help you determine if you're hitting the 90% in your state, but these are geared towards the national data set. Are there any questions or suggestions that anybody has off the top of their head for these review or revised suggested lists? All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We appreciate your feedback on those, and I know some of you will dig into those and really give us some good comments. Next, we're going to go to agency submissions tracking dashboard with Laurel. Let me stop sharing. All right, Laurel, are you able to grab the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So we have a new dashboard that we released just this week. I think I showed it to you all in the last call. It's an agency submission tracking dashboard. So you can find this new dashboard by going to View Reports, State Reports, Version 3 Dashboards, and it's going to be right here at the top of the list. The name is a little confusing because of the naming convention we have going on, but this dashboard is for state users and it tracks submissions by agencies. You can see we have the dashboard as well as a user guide. I tried to keep the user guide on this dashboard short and concise so that it would be an easy reference to use this. The dashboard looks a little bit like this. So what it shows is it just shows a trending of submissions based on the unit notified by dispatch date. So not submission date. This line should be relatively constant for most states once you have all your agencies onboarded. So it should be really easy to pick out an area where there might have been a problem. So right now we're looking at submissions for the entire country for the past approximately 2.5 years. And you can see, there's the trend as more states come on board, and then the big drop off for this week. So for records with a unit notified dispatch date of the week of June 23rd, obviously we don't have all of those in the warehouse yet. So that's something that you'll probably see no matter what, because it just takes a little bit of time for records to get sent in and processed into our warehouse. So this graph can be filtered on date, software package, software version, agency IDs, and then for our internal and federal users, they can filter it by state. For state users, you'll only see data submitted by your state, as per usual. Down on the bottom half of this, you're going to see a large table that lists the submission numbers and percent changes by agency. Now, I'm not going to scroll down because we try not to show agency numbers for states, but you can see just the first line. This is the agency number with the most submissions. And you can see the changes over time. So hopefully this can be helpful to our state representatives to pick out any trends in submission where something might have gone wrong or some records might be missing. and then you can use that to identify where there might be a problem. And at your request, we've included software information. So if it appears that it's a problem with a vendor or a version of software, you can sort of trace that back. The user guide, details all the ways in which you can use this to filter in on agencies or data. But, a couple of quick tips: you can click on an agency in the table, and that will filter the line graph to just show that agency's trend. You can use this box right here to set a minimum number of PCRs per agency for inclusion. So if you have maybe some agencies in your state that were submitted, the DEM files were submitted erroneously or with the wrong ID numbers, or maybe agencies that submitted a few records but then never again, you can use this to exclude them. So right now it's set to 50. Any agency that had less than 50 PCRs submitted to us over the 2.5-year period will not be shown on this chart. Let's see, what else? Another quick thing you could do is you can use the plus and minus buttons on any of these time scales to zoom in or zoom out on time. So right now this graph is set to weekly, but if we use the plus, I believe we can zoom it in to daily. So if you wanted to change your time scale and look at how submissions were changing by day. And then this one right here is defaulted to monthly, but you can again use the plus and minus buttons to zoom that in to monthly or zoom it out to yearly submissions. So it's kind of a very quick overview of what we have in this dashboard. If anyone has any feedback, comments, I'm happy to take them now. As always, you can email me and let me know if there's anything more you'd want to see here or any way that we could make this information better.
How about what Clay mentioned about the DEM files, about what agencies have or don't have them?
So that's actually one thing that I can't show you on this dashboard. So this dashboard is based on PCRs. So this will only show agencies who have submitted at least one PCR. You could set the threshold here to 1, and you'll see every agency who's ever submitted anything, but it doesn't, I can't show you the agencies for which we have no PCRs on this dashboard. There is a page on the current composition dashboard, as well as the larger state data submission dashboard that show which agencies we do not have any PCRs for, or which agencies we don't have DEM files for.
Where's that one again? Could you show that?
Let's see. So
Yeah, Laurel, probably the best one to show is a submission dashboard and the tab for agencies. I'm probably not current composition. I would go to, Yeah, I know that current composition has an agency analysis. I guess it depends on the question you're wanting to answer specifically. Are you looking for agencies without a DEM file or agencies for which we have a DEM file and no PCRs? So go down to, you go down to submission. Yeah, go to EMS agency detail. Yeah, this is going to be for the entire country, David, but you can go down to the bottom of this. It's okay. You can go down to the bottom of this and see which agencies we have a DEM file for, but no records yet.
No, okay, so this one shows ones that are missing a demographic file. So we received EMS records from these agencies, but we don't have their DEM file.
Oh, yes, sorry, I said that backwards. I said that backwards, sorry.
Yeah, so there's that one. And then I believe current composition has an agencies without activations list, which shows agencies that we have the DEM file, but no PCRs. So there are two separate places.
Could that be something to add to the state list? Like, here are agencies that have, stopped submitting?
What do you mean?
That might be valuable.
State list.
You said is that a total history of all agencies, or just the agencies on the time list that you are searching for?
This new one is a history of everything since January 1st, 2017. So that, you know, the rolling
Okay, so
two-year
if
data
an
set.
agency stopped submitting altogether, they would see it here.
Yeah, so what it would look like is these numbers would drop off. You'd
Okay.
have a 0 and then it would be blank across time. So
Yeah,
that
and
is
one thing,
that is visible there, yes.
yeah, and one thing related to this, David, that we're working on and going to be sharing with the vendors and the states is there is a way to set alerts on these dashboards. We're working on that right now. Most of the alerts will be associated with dashboards that have rates. So like flu-like symptoms or mass casualty events, you can set an alert when a rate goes over a certain amount. You can also set them for frequencies as well, just for raw numbers, but those will probably best set at the state level. Tableau allows you to set them for individual users, so every user can set their own alerts. So we're hoping to roll that out. That might be a way, you know, where a state could be could receive an indication that overall across the state there's been a significant drop in the number of submissions, that type of thing. So great questions.
So I did just get an email from a vendor about vendor access to this dashboard, and at this time we've only released it to state data managers. But if this is something that would be useful to vendors, we can work on posting a vendor version. Would that be beneficial? Well, I have at least one yes in my email, so we'll discuss that and see if we can release a version of that for the vendors as well. Are there any other comments on this? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back to Julianne.
Thank you, Laurel. Clay, were there any items from the Office of EMS that need to be addressed?
Yeah, two they wanted me to mention. I think at the federal level, the NEMSAC meetings are going on yesterday and today, so the Office of EMS is busy with those meetings. But there were two things they wanted me to mention. One was just to remind everyone that we're currently in the time period where we are reviewing the candidate release for NEMSIS version 3.5.0. We have about another month for you to finish that review. Lots of you folks have sent us comments. That's been great. Thank you so much for your time reviewing those documents. Of course, now we have suggested lists up as well, part of the V3.5 review that was started 2 summers ago by the summer work group. So please take some time to look through those or any other attributes of the candidate release that are important to you and provide us back comments as Julianne described that process. The candidate review will remain open until after the V3 meeting. We had hoped to be able to take some of the comments that have been provided related to the candidate review and make sure that we can kind of discuss those at our meeting. But shortly after our time in Deer Valley, we'll be closing it and it will become final. So please take time if you'd like to do some review to do that. Then second, I just wanted to remind folks again, even though the formal letter has not come out of the Office of EMS yet, they're waiting for final approval on that letter, that the official date for which the NEMSIS TAC will no longer accept version 3.3.4 records has been extended from this September, has now been extended to March of 2021. We talked about that a little bit. We're waiting for that formal letter to come out from the Office of EMS. At that time, we'll change all of our visualizations that have the timeline currently set for a closure of 334 this September. We'll modify those and make those available for you to provide to your stakeholders. Any questions about those two topics? Okay, it's summertime. Quiet group today. I think that's all I had from the Office of EMS, Julianne.
Thank you, Clay. Are there any other topics or issues, comments that want to be made before we end this call? This is your opportunity for open forum discussion. If you'll notice on the agenda, we are not having our standard meeting on July 24th. The next one will be August 7th. That has been moved up a week because of the NEMSIS annual meeting, and then August 28th, and then the 2 in September. So those are our next meetings coming up. If you have a topic that you would like to have addressed during one of these meetings, give us a shout, and we can discuss that and add that to the agenda. If there's anything else anyone wants to bring up, this is a great time. Otherwise, we will let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your work day. We appreciate you taking the time to be on the call this morning and for your participation. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, folks.